morning students. Hope you are all fine. Today we are going to see chapter 9 Soil in grade 7 science NCERT book. In our last class we discussed about soil, importance of soil, composition of soil, formation of soil and soil profile. These are the topics we already discussed in our last class. Student, let me ask a question. What is soil? Yes, soil is defined as the uppermost layer of the earth's crust in which plants grow. Soil is defined as the uppermost layer of the earth crust in which plants grow. And the word soil is derived from the Latin word solum. Solum means what? Yes, earthly material. Earthly material. The uppermost layer of the earth crust in which plants grow, we call it as a soil. Soil contains water, air and minerals and some organic matters also in it. We already knew this one. Soil is an important natural resource. Soil is an important natural resource. No life is possible without soil. No life is possible without soil. Next we are going to see composition of soil. Composition of soil. Soil is composed of many things like rocks and mineral particles, humus. Humus means what? Yes, organic matter. Water, air, living organism. These all are present in soil. So, soil is composed of many things like rocks and minerals, particles, humus, water, air and living organism. Soil provide home to many living organisms like snail, worms, ants, mites, bugs, beetle, termites and etc. And it's provide home to small microscopic to large visible organisms also. Small microscopic organisms include bacteria, algae and fungi. So it's provide home to this kind of living organism. Of soil. Formation of soil is a very slow and gradual process. It's a very slow process. It takes thousands of years to form a layer of soil. It takes thousands of years to form a layer of soil. Soil is formed from the breakdown of rocks by the action of water, ice, wind and climate. So, soil is formed from the breakdown of rocks by the action of water, ice, wind and climate. Sometimes the living organism also breaks this kind of rocks. This process we call it as a breakdown of rocks is called as a weathering. The process of formation of soil from the breakdown of rocks. How the soils are formed? Yes. Breakdown of rocks. It's called as a weathering. Soil profile. Next one, soil profile. The sequence of horizon from the surface downward or the vertical layer structure of soil is called the soil profile. The sequence of horizon from the surface downwards or the vertical layered structure of soil is called the soil profile. There are 4 horizons are there. A horizon, B horizon, C horizon and D horizon. A horizon also called as a topsoil. A horizon also called as a topsoil. It's generally soft, porous, and can retain more water than other layer. So this topsoil is dark in color and it's rich in humus and minerals. It's rich in humus and minerals. Next one is many type of organism like worm, bugs, beetle, moles, small rats live in this layer. In which layer? Yes, in a horizon. Also it's called as a topsoil because it's very soft and porous. It's contain air and water. So the living organism can live in this topsoil. Next one is a B horizon. B horizon. It's present below the A horizon. That means it's present below the topsoil. It's also called a subsoil. This subsoil is harder than topsoil, and this subsoil also called middle layer, and it's generally compact and harder. This also contain less of humus and more of minerals compared with the topsoil. It's rich topsoil rich in humus and minerals, but this one less humus but more minerals. Next one, third layer. This one also called as a C horizon. The C horizon also called parent rock. This is the third layer below the B horizon. It's made up of small pieces of rock. This is made up of small pieces of rock. This layer is very hot comparatively. Compared with the A horizon and B horizon, this one is a very hot layer. And next one, D horizon. Next one is a D horizon. It's also called as a bedrock. This also called as a bedrock. It's known as the bedrock. It's made up of rock or parent rock. It's made up of rock or parent rock. This bedrock makes the soil over a very long period of time. These are the topic we discussed in our last class. Let's enter to our today's topic. Next one, types of soil. Types of soil. There are different types of soil present on the earth. There are different types of soil present on the earth. The mixture of rock particles and humus is called soil. The mixture of rock particles and humus is called soil. Soil is formed by the weathering of rocks. Soil is formed by the weathering of rocks. Weathering means breaking down or dissolving of rocks and minerals into small particles due to wind, water, ice, acid, salts, plants, animals, and change in temperature. Weathering means breaking down or dissolving of rocks and minerals into small particles due to the wind, water, ice, acids, salts, plants, animals, and changes in temperature. Sand, silt, and clay are different size and have different properties. Depending on the properties of these particles, these are the particles of soil. Sand, silt, and clay, these are the particles of soil. So soils are different types. Depends upon this particle. Soils are in different types. Properties of sand, silt, clay, and humus present. Soil can be sandy, clayey, or loamy. These are the three different types of soil. Sand, silt, and clay. These are particles of soil. These are the particles of soil. Depends upon this particle, we are classified the soil in three types. One is a sandy soil, second one is a clayey soil, third one is a loamy soil. First we'll see types of particles in soil. First we are going to see types of particles in soil. What are the particles in soil? Yes, sand, silt, clay. These are the particles of soil. Types of particles in soil. What are the particles in soil? Silt, sand, clay. These are the particles in soil. First we are going to see sand. Particles are large and can be easily seen. Sand particles are large and can be easily seen. Sand particles are large and can be easily seen. Sand particles have large space between them. Sand particles have large space between them. These space are filled with air. If there is a space means air filled in it, isn't it? So likewise, sand particles have large space between them. So the space are filled with air. Water passes or drains through quickly because it have a large space. Through that space, water passes or drains very quickly. Water passes or drains through very quickly in the sand particles because the sand particles are large, can be seen easily. It's have a large space between them. So in that space filled with air. Through that space easily water drains or pass through it. Pure sand is not suitable for plants. Pure sand is not suitable for plants. Next we are going to see silt. These particles are smaller than sand. Compared with the sand, the silt particles are smaller than sand and not visible to the eyes. These particles have less space in between them. Compared with the sand, the silt particles have less space in between them. Silt contain much less air than sand. So compare with this sand, silt have less air than sand. And silt has better water retention capacity. Silt has better water retention capacity. It holds the water. Silt is present as a deposit in the river beds. It's mostly present as a deposit in the river beds. Next one, clay. Clay particles are extremely small and cannot be seen. Clay particles are extremely small and cannot be seen. Clay particles have hardly any space between them and adhere together tightly. Clay does not have much air because there is no that much of gap. Clay does not allow water to pass through easily. Pure clay is not suitable for plants. These three are particles of soil. Now we are going to see types of soil. See this picture. This is a soil particles. First one is a clay. It's a very smaller particles. Next one, silt. Compare with the clay, it's little bit large. And next one is a sand. That one have a very big particles. Next we are going to see difference between three types of soil. First one, sandy soil. First one, sandy soil. This one we normally called as a sand. More than 2/3 of sandy soil is sand. More than two-thirds of sandy soil is sand. That's why we call it as a sandy soil. And about 1/10 is clay. It's contain clay. So sandy soil contains sand and clay. Sand in a more amount, clay in a less amount. Next, it is made up of large particles with large air space. So it's contain more amount of sand. So sand particles are very large and also they have a space also there. So large space. In that space contain air. Next one, its porosity. Porosity means it's have a pores, lot of pores and large pores. Prevent retention of water. Retention of water. So it dries up very easily because water retention is very fast in sandy soil. So it dries up very easily. Next, it is well suited for fruits and vegetable cultivation. This is very suitable for fruits and vegetable cultivation. Next one, clayey soil. Next one is a clayey soil. More than 2/3 of clayey soil is clay. It's contain more and more clay in it. It's made up of fine particles with small air space. Clay particles are very small. It's very fine particles, so it's have a small air space. There is no gap between the particles, so there is no air gap. There is no lot of air in it, so small air space is there. It retains moisture and becomes very sticky. So this is a very small gap in it, so it retains moisture. There is no that much of gap, so it's retain moisture, become very sticky when wet. When dry, it's become hard and forms deep cracks. It's good for making pots. This clay soil is good for making pots. Next one, loamy soil. Loamy soil has sand and silt in equal amounts. Loamy soil has sand and silt in equal amount. About 2/5 each. Okay, 50% is sand and 50% is silt. It has high humus content. So it has more and more humus in it. Humus means yes, organic matters. So it spores and also hold moisture. So the spores also hold moisture in it. This is good for cultivation of crops and gardening. This is a best soil for cultivation of crops and gardening. Let's see an activity for that soil contains particles of different sizes and humus. Take a little soil from a garden in a beaker and fill it 3/4 with water. Take a beaker with 3/4 of water and add a soil in it. Stir well with a stick and leave it undisturbed for about 2 to 3 hours. And observe it. What will happen? Yes, we can see the layers in a beaker. The heaviest particles settle at the bottom and lighter one in top layers. See this picture. The humus is from the topmost layer of soil. It has dead rotting leaves, animal remains and grass floating on the water. We can see now that one we call it as a humus. Next one, water. It's from the layer below humus and above the mineral particles. Above the mineral particles and below the humus. Next layer is clay. Very fine and light particles. And fourth layer is silt. Smaller and lighter particle compared with the sand. Next one, sand. Small but coarse particles. Small and coarse particles. Next last layer is gravel. Heaviest particle from the lowermost layer. Gravel from the lowermost layer. Next we are going to see properties of soil. All types of soil show some basic properties depending upon their composition. So here we are going to see properties of soil. First one is soil allows water to percolate. Percolate means it's allowed to pass through them. Percolation means it's allowed to pass through the gap in the soil. That one we call it as a percolation. So soil allows water to percolate. Next one, soil absorb water. Soil absorb water. Soil absorb water means it's hold the water. How it's hold the water. Next one, soil contains moisture in it. Soil contains moisture. And last one is soil contains air. These are the properties of soil. These properties are vary from one soil to another. So all the soils not have same properties. It's have a different kinds of properties. First we'll see soil allows water to percolate. Percolation rate in soil. Soil allows water to percolate. Percolation of water in soil means the movement of water through the gaps in the soil. That means it's passed through the gaps in the soil. That one we call it as a percolation of soil. Water moves down or percolate down through the space present between the soil particles. The rate of percolation differ in the different soils. What are the properties of soil? Soil allows water to percolate. Soil absorbs water. Soil contains moisture. Soil contains air. These are the four properties of soil. First one, percolation. Percolation means movement of water through the gaps in the soil. Movement of water through the gaps in the soil. This one we call it as a percolation. So this percolation vary from one soil to another. Let's see an activity for percolation. Dig the soil about 2 cm. Dig the soil about 2 cm and place a PVC pipe in the soil. So dig the soil 2 cm and place the PVC pipe in the soil. Now you have to pour 200 ml of water in that pipe. How much of water we are going to pour in it? Yes, 200 ml of water into this pipe. And note the time. You have to note the time. Water will percolate down into the soil. And when no water is left in the PVC pipe, note the time again. First you had to note the time after pouring 200 ml of water, and then you have to note the time no water is left in the PVC pipe. The difference between the two reading gives the time taken by 200 ml of water to percolate. So this difference between these two times give the 200 ml of water to percolate down. Now we'll see the calculation by following formula. Percolation rate. We are going to calculate the percolation rate. Percolation rate is equal to amount of water by percolation time. Percolation water in ml and percolation time in minutes. How much amount of water we taken? Yes, 200 ml. The water taken is equal to 200 ml. Percolation time. Next one is the percolation time. Initial time and end time, we are going to get a difference between these two time is 10 minutes, means the percolation rate is 200 ml by 10 minutes. What's the answer? 20 ml per minute. Using this percolation rate equation, we are going to calculate the percolation rate. Next one, soil absorbs water. For this one, we are going to do one activity. Take a 50 gram of dry soil into a funnel. Take a 50 gram of dry soil into a funnel and 30 ml of water in a moisturizing cylinder, and take a 30 ml of water. With the help of dropper, pour water gently over the soil, drop by drop, till water start dripping from the funnel. See this picture. So we are taking a 50 gram of soil in funnel, and we are going to add water drop by drop, it dripping through the funnel. Stop pouring water and note the amount of water left in the measuring cylinder. The difference from the first reading and this reading gives the amount of water absorbed by the soil. Soil absorbs water. If we are going to pour half a glass of water in the soil, it gets absorbed because soil has pores in between its particles. Soil has a gap or pores in it. The capacity of absorb water differ in various soil. Sandy soil absorb the least and clay soil absorb the maximum water. So, now we are going to calculate the absorbed water in the soil. For example, if we are taken 50 grams of soil and we took 30 ml of water, we are added this 30 ml of water drop by drop, isn't it? So water left after the dripping, we are going to measure the water in that beaker, that is a 20 ml. So we have 20 ml of water in the beaker. Water absorbed by the soil. How much of water is absorbed? So initially we are taken 30 ml and we got 20 ml of water in a beaker. So we are going to get difference between initial amount of water taken and water left in the measuring cylinder. So 30 minus 20 is equal to 10 ml. Now we are going to calculate the percentage of water absorbed by the soil. How much of soil absorbed by the how much of water absorbed by the soil? Yes, 10 ml, because 30 minus 20 is equal to 10. So absorbed water by amount of soil taken. So 10 by 50 into 100, that is equal to 20%. Percentage of water absorbed by the soil is equal to absorbed water by amount of soil taken into 100. So here absorbed amount of water is 10 ml and soil initially we taken 50 grams. 10 by 50 into 100 is equal to 20%. Next one, soil contains moisture. If we touch the soil of garden or a field, we can feel that the soil is wet. It is because the soil contains moisture. It's because the soil contains moisture. The moisture or fine droplets of water remains trapped in the space present between the soil particles. So let's see an activity. Take a 50 gram of soil in a tube and heat it. You will observe that after some time the water droplets get formed on the inner sides of the tube. It is because when you heat the soil, water from the soil evaporates. It gets condensed on the cooler walls of the tube and forms the droplets. After heating for 10 minutes, let the soil cools down and then take a weight again. First taken 50 grams, isn't it? So, you will observe the difference in the weight of the soil. The difference in weight represents the amount of moisture in the soil. By this activity, we can conclude that soil contains moisture. Next one, soil contains air. Soil contains air in the space present between the soil particles. We already knew this one. Large space in the soil traps more air. Sandy soil contains more air while clayey soil contains very less air. Let's see an activity for this one. Take a small amount of dry soil in a beaker and add water to it. Stir it with a glass rod. You will observe bubbles coming out of the soil and water going down. See this picture. So the bubbles are of the air present in the space in the soil. So the bubbles are of the air present in the space in the soil. When you add a water displays the air and takes its place. There is a space in the soil. So the space are occupied by the air. When we are adding water, this water replaces the air and it goes in that place. So by this activity, we can tell soil contains air in it. These are the properties of soil. First one, soil contains moisture. Second one, soil contains air. Third one, soil absorbs water. Fourth one is soil allows water to percolate. These are the properties of soil. Next one, we are going to see soil erosion. Soil erosion. Soil erosion means removal of topsoil. Soil erosion means removal of topsoil. It may occur due to natural causes or by the human activities. This removal of topsoil may occur due to the natural causes or by human activities. The soil erosion takes place in region where the plants cover like forest have been removed. That means deforestation. Soil erosion reduces the fertility of soil. It's reduce the fertility of soil. Soil erosion can be prevented by stopping the cutting down of trees and retaining the forest areas and planting more trees. The removal of topsoil by the action of water and wind is called soil erosion. Factors that may lead to soil erosions are deforestation, overgrazing. First one, deforestation. The root of trees bind the soil particles together. Due to cutting down of the trees, the top soil is left loosened, and this makes it easier of wind and running water to carry away the fertile topsoil. This leads to soil erosion. See that first picture, that is a deforestation. So if we are cutting down the tree means its soil is left loosened because the roots are binding the soil particles and is easily carried by wind and running water. So this one leads to soil erosion. Next one, overgrazing. When too many animals graze on the small patch of grass, it leads to overgrazing. Thus the land is exposed to wind and water, leading to soil erosion. In the same way, flood also one of the reason for soil erosion. Flood was of the topsoil. Floods was of the topsoil. Next one, effects of soil erosion. Soil erosion results in loss of valuable topsoil. Soil erosion results in loss of valuable topsoil, which is rich in nutrients and organic matter. Loss of soil fertility. All the nutrients required by crops for their growth are present in the topsoil. Loss of topsoil for agriculture land makes it less fertility. It's reducing agricultural produce. So it's reduce the agricultural produce. Next one, soil conservation. Next one is soil conservation. Soil conservation can be defined as the production of soil. We can simply define as the production of soil from erosion. Production of soil from erosion. First method, afforestation. Best method also this one is. Planting more trees help in preventing soil erosion as tree roots bind the soil particles together. So this one is the best method to avoid the soil erosion. Next one, windbreaks. Windbreaks. Creating windbreaks. How can we create the windbreaks? Yes, planting rows of trees, rows of trees or bushes help in reducing the speed of wind. So they cannot break the trees. So by this way we can prevent the soil erosion. So they prevent soil from being blown away. How we are prevent the soil from being blown away, and it's help in reducing soil erosion. Next one, preventing overgrazing. Next one is preventing overgrazing. Land for grazing animals should be given enough time for the grazing to grow back to help in the soil conservation. And then next one, growing cover crops. These are crops that are grown in the off season. Cover crops help reduce soil erosion by covering the soil and holding it tightly during heavy rains. It prevents the soil erosion from being carried away by rainwater. Next one, terrace farming. Terrace farming on steep slopes of hills help in preventing soil erosion. These are the best way to conservation of soil. Next one, soil and crops. This is the last topic from this lesson. There are different types of soil in different parts of India. Various climate factors like wind, rainfall, humidity, light, temperature affect the soil profile and bring change in the soil structure. Different types of crops are grown in different kinds of soil. Clay and loamy soil. They have a good amount of air and water holding capacity and are suitable for growing weeds, maize, grams and many other crops. Wheat, maize, gram are grown in clayey and loamy soil. Humus is added to such soil to make them nutrient rich. Next one, soil rich in clay and organic matter. They have a good water retaining capacity. They are suitable for growing paddy. Paddy means rice. Paddy is grown in standing water in the soil. So clay and organic matter. Rich soil rich in clay and organic matter is best for growing paddy plants. Clay and loamy soil. They are suitable for crops like masoor dal and other pulses. Clayey and loamy soil. Next one, sandy loam. It's suitable for grow cotton crops. And last one, sandy soil. It's in desert area. It's present in desert area. It's not suitable for crops. Water percolate quickly and carry away the nutrients. Plants do not grow in this soil. Sandy soil is not suitable to grow crops. Okay students, we completed this lesson. You have to read these topics in your NCERT book. We will see next lesson in our next class. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you students.